Hi, we're talking about demons in the church, and this is part two. I shared a story about the sort of demonic enclave of the quote unquote rosary guardians. But today I wanted to share another story about what happened in the admin of the church. And I'm sharing these stories not to disparage the church or to cause any, I feel like the Catholic Church has just been the voodoo doll of all humanity, taking the blame for everything that's gone wrong, sort of like how white women have been Karenized and slurred and dragged through the mud. I feel like the same thing has happened to the Catholic Church as if every other sect or religion, Protestants, etc., I'll get a pass on these things, yet the Catholic Church is always held to a high standard, which is good. It should be held to a high standard, and honestly, I want it to be a safer place, and I'm glad these changes have taken place. That's why I came back. But we do need to address just these common issues. We're talking on demonic possession, demonic infestation, demonic obsession within the church and its followers, and how to address that. And I've been learning a lot through Malachi Martin's work from the 80s. He was very popular exorcism priest that I remember. And I really miss that time that it's gone now, from the 80s, the 70s, and the 80s. See how he do. He's gonna make some annoying sounds. So we're gonna get into it today with this because honestly, part of it is that we have to know how to handle these things, and we have to be strong enough and Christian enough and confident enough in the Bible and in ourselves to address these things. And as you realize right now in culture, stop it. Shh, I'm sorry. He gets jealous. As we realize in culture right now, ghosting is very popular, this encouraging of people just walking away, no confrontation, just deleting people off your phone and social media like they didn't exist. And that reminds me very much of what cults do collectively. Cults block their followers from freedom, and then when they try to leave, they, like the Jehovah's Witnesses, they basically ghost their followers and disparage them and reject them, and then act like they were never there or even born. It's terrible what some of this stuff does to people. I've seen it myself with friends I knew that were Jehovah's Witness, and wow, the trauma involved in that. We can talk about that too, put that on the list. But today I just want to talk about something in particular of a church that I had went to. I really liked it. It was a really small church. I really, really liked the priest. I thought the priest was very, very good. It's funny because he was never particularly friendly, and I could always tell he didn't like me. I didn't really go even to confession with him. I went somewhere else. But I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, so I didn't take that personal, even though I felt like as a priest he should be able to be like a Waldorf school teacher. He should be able to love his flock. And really, in my case, he didn't even really know me outside of always giving him and the congregation gifts all the time, and prayers and blessing stones, and just showing up all the time. So I can't say like there was any like negative thing between us or any reason for him not to like me. I just always felt it and sensed it, and I usually just when I sense that, I sort of put it in my head and figure out like how to compartmentalize these things. So I had known this priest didn't really like me, and that was okay. I really liked his, his work and what he was doing. And because my uncle was a priest, I understand that need to protect our priests. And so it all came to the head one day when I was at Eucharist adoration, and I was there for extended time for like 3 or 4 hours, and I wrote this prayer, this Eucharist prayer. And so it was around Christmas time, and I dropped off some gifts for the priest and his admin, just like a cup with the Madonna del Futuro on it, like just some thoughtful things. And they said, thank you for being the leader of our flock. Just respectful, trying, I don't want to make it look like I was being too much either. It's not like I was always up there. It was just a Christmas gift. And then I followed up with an email. And I just said, I just want to thank you for this extended Eucharist time, and I wanted to share the special prayer with you. And I said, I've got some of the things, beautiful things you've written in the bulletin, and when I publish my new book, I would love to I was really just thinking about giving him some honor, just like putting some of his wise words in there and just giving him like sort of like a nod of how important he was. And so I sent it, I emailed it, and I was shocked. I got an email back almost immediately from the admin, this woman, who again, I know she didn't like me either, and I always felt that and saw that just from the get-go. And actually, within the last couple months before that happened, I noticed like there was nobody in the church in the morning because I go to the Mass in the morning. There was like 5 or 6 people. And she started sitting directly behind me. And like I just felt her breathing down my neck, sort of. And I felt her just like looking at me. And I was trying really hard and praying about it, like not to take it personal, like, sometimes people don't know how to enter in or even make friends, and they can be rude about it. So I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I did have that feeling that she just wasn't a friendly, nice person, and she definitely didn't like me, which is fine. That happens too. So again, it wasn't taken personally by me up until that point. And it was interesting, too, because there were, like, several of the homilies the priest gave about her, mentioning about how she does the rosary, and then she doesn't feel like doing the Hail Marys, and she fakes it. And that was, like, the topic of some sermons, which I thought was weird, because I was like, wow, you're just admitting you're faking the Hail Marys. Like, why do it? So there's obviously some stuff going on. There's always stuff going on behind the scenes, but I got an email from her immediately back, and I mean, this is right before Christmas, and she said, it was a copy and paste from the priest, and it said, tell her not to reproduce any of my work. And then it said, like, this is from the Father, and it was signed by her. And I was really taken back by that. It was like, wow, not only was this rude, there was no thank you or mention of the gift I dropped off. No mention of, like, the beautiful prayer that I sent. Like, I get it if they didn't like the prayer, but, like, not even to mention it. And also, too, with her being the admin and the manager and actually, like, taking care of the priest and his work, for her directly to copy and paste like that and not do her due diligence as a business administrator, which would have been like maybe the priest was really busy and he just jotted that down, it would have been her place as a representative of the Catholic Church and of the priest to come back and write something at least professional, if not a Christian, right? Could have started off like, Dear Aurore, thank you for the prayer. It was nice gesture. Thank you for the gift. Merry Christmas. The priest did mention that he didn't want any of his work cited, which is fine. I was really just being nice, trying to be appreciative. And so it wasn't like that at all. So I responded back and I said, where's the thank you for my Christmas gift and for the prayer I wrote you guys? And you should have really responded to me in a professional manner, even if you couldn't, quote unquote, fake it. You know, like the Hail Marys, like you admit to faking that, but you can't even fake like a basic, kind, professional communication with me, even through email. She made it very, very obvious that she didn't like me, and it was very rude. And so I actually provided a little template. I'm like, I just wrote down underneath here, maybe for you to look at to see how somebody in your position should respond, because you are a representative of the church and the priest, and you're making him look bad, whether he intentionally wanted to hurt my feelings and be rude or not. She personified that and magnified it. So that's what I did. And so I'm expecting an apology. And then I got a message back right away, immediately, and it said, I didn't even read your email, and this case is closed. Don't mention it again. Wow. I couldn't even believe. I was like, what is happening here? I go to do something nice. This has been a lovely thing. Like, I have absolutely zero problems with anyone. I hardly interact with anybody, especially, it's a Catholic church. So I find out it's somebody's birthday, I give them a little gift and like a little blessing, and I walk away. I'm not involved in any activities and getting myself involved in anything other than just praying for people and being a supportive Christian person. And so I sent a message back to her and I said, it's not over, because I'm going to copy and paste this and forward this to the diocese, because they should know what you're doing and how you're pushing other Christians away. Because in a bigger picture, I'm 50 years old, so I've lived a very long life in and out of the Catholic Church, Protestant Church, and many different situations, religious situations. And I've seen nasty people everywhere. But I hold Christians and Catholics to a higher standard. We are supposed to be the light in the world. We are supposed to be the face of Christ out in the world, and we're supposed to welcome people. And this has been a big thing about Papa Francesco, unity, consciousness that he teaches of making people feel welcome to come to church, come to the Catholic Church. That's why he did not want the Latin Mass, because people were using the Latin Mass to make people feel unwelcomed. And it's already, when you walk into a Catholic church, if you're not Catholic, it already can feel very like off-putting, because there's a lot of rituals and a lot of memorization, and you didn't want the Latin Mass on top of everything else to put people off, and I get that. But this was something different too, in the fact of this is a business administration, somebody in a higher position that comes in contact with many, many different people. And on top of all this was supposed to be an exorcism priest, which is the reason why I started to go there. And I had a problem with demonic manifestation, and that's why I went. But honestly, through interviewing him, he wasn't doing exorcism. He was believing in psychology and pushing psychology, which, if you look at what's happened to the church, especially if you look at Father Malachi and the exorcism, and how basically the last 40 years what they've done is take all spiritual warfare, all demonic activity, all demonic ritual murders have been thrown into the crazy pile and mental illness pile, and pushed off into psychology. And so there's no space anymore to even to even delve into that, which has been to the detriment to the church and honestly to humanity itself. And it's horrible. So just basically saying that this guy was more of a humanist and less as a spiritual priest. I mean, who knows how really far his beliefs really go. But he was not adequately representing, I felt, Christ, and he certainly wasn't an exorcism priest, which is what I needed and had sought out anyways. And he was pretty much just going around and counseling people about psychology. And so, and you know, the way that works too, we're talking about more and more about demonic activity in these lectures I'm doing. Another flip side of that is when you take the spiritual activity and even demonic possession, or if you're being attacked by these demons, once you start drugging somebody, and we already have the fluoride in the water and the chemicals in the air and the water and food, that is already manipulating our psyche and our free will. The Wi-Fi and the signals, media messages, everywhere, we are being inundated and sort of forcibly pushed into certain directions and belief systems. But when you drug somebody and they're demonically possessed or they're being attacked spiritually, what happens is you basically make this person into a vessel. And I think of that king in Game of Thrones, that one where that demon came and he was just sitting on the throne like a dead zombie, and these demons were running his kingdom. And so we have mass epidemic population of people, because last estimates of even kids on these mind drugs in the United States, I mean, we're talking millions and millions and millions and millions of people. I don't know, as high as 30% of the population or more. I have to look at the numbers again. I haven't looked at it recently. But if you read my book series, Beyond Natural Cures, you know that's a huge part of my book. Especially the end, I talk about several, I don't even know if I can say the M word. I don't even know what to say anymore because I get censored for everything. But if you read my book, that's what it's about, body, mind, psychology. And that series isn't specifically Christian either, like my new series is. So, but that's an issue that we have, is basically these people become these drugged up zombies, and then they're just a vessel for more entities and more spirits to attack them and work them through them and in them. So I hope this story helps today. I guess if you've been sort of in a church and you've had problems with the administration, with the pastor or the priest or anything, I think that there is a lot of narcissism and ego that's spread there, and sometimes they get used to pushing people around and being rude because they get placed on a pedestal by other people. Also, they're human like anybody else. They could be having a bad day. I actually had a few situations with this woman before and had felt something going on for a long time. And normally what I would like to do in that situation is just go to the person and say, hey, what's going on? Like, you don't like me? Is there a problem? But in this case, I had already set to move on anyways, and I had already been called out to another area. So my work at that church was finished. So I accepted it. But I don't want to rule that out either for people. It's always good to confront, and we shouldn't be afraid to confront. If we pray about it and we're in the Word of God and we have a Holy Spirit, we can confront people with love. There's nothing wrong. I could have also and for me and too, in my case, like none of my messages went directly to the priest. They were all filtered through this woman who gave it to the priest. So who knows what was going on. So I did think, like, several times I should have went and actually directly talked to the priest and sat down and just been like, hey, what's your guys' problem? Like, what did I do? what's going on here. But in that case, I didn't, because I had already you know, started working on another project and then some other things somewhere else. So I was okay with letting that lie. Also, with them in their position as well, they never reached out to me. And it's funny because after I left, I was somebody that went to church every day. So, like, you would assume